Good morning. So, for those of you that I haven't met, my name's Claire, and this morning we'll be taking a gentle flow practice, probably emphasise more on the gentle than the flow part. So it would be really great if you could gather together, if you haven't already, a blanket, a cushion or a pillow and another pillow from your bed. And if you have yoga props at home, then grab them. A bolster would be useful for the end of the practice, but no worries if not, a pillow will do the job just as well. So if you haven't practiced with me before, know that I will be really encouraging you to practice in a way and breathe in a way that feels good and right for you. And at this moment in time, I really believe that's more important now than ever. So if that means actually coming into Shavasana for an hour and just taking an hour's rest, then that's absolutely fine. You're in the comfort of your own home, and you can stay there and then close with us at the end. And also, it might be quite new to you practicing yoga in your own home, so be really kind to yourself. It's a very different experience than being in a studio, so know that it will take a while to become more practiced at not getting really distracted. So yeah, just a precursor to our practice. So we are going to be starting lying down on our backs. So you might want to take a blanket folded for underneath your head, and we will come into constructed rest. So that is where your body is lying flat down on the ground, your knees are bent, and the soles of your feet are on the floor, and arms down by your side. And you can have a little bit of a wriggle around here just to check that you find a position for your body that is effortless. So that tends to be walking your feet in quite close to your bottom and then out to the side to the edges of your mat, and then let your knees fall together. And then you might just want to readjust your pelvis, lower back, so that that area of your body is comfortable. And then just nestling your shoulder blades underneath you so that there's a softness and an opening through your chest. And then arms can start down by your side. And if you're happy to do so, close your eyes. If you'd rather keep your eyes open, then just look kind of above your knees so the eyes are really quiet and your gaze is low. And even though you probably haven't had a very long journey to your mat this morning, let's take some time to settle into this morning's practice of yoga. This time for you to breathe well, to move well, and then to rest. And then let's start to cultivate and to build our three-part breath. So the first part is bringing awareness into our lower bellies. And so you might want to just bring your awareness there, bringing your mind down there, or maybe you'd like to bring your hands, one or both. So thumbs will rest either around or below your belly button. If you're placing your hands there, let your elbows and arms readjust so the shoulders don't feel squished and lifted. And then let your touch be quite tender, so maybe just a little bit of a squeeze down through the pads of the fingers to connect deeper with your body. And then as you breathe out and in, bring this part of your body to life with your breath. So your belly starts to move. As you breathe out, there's a softening, there's a dropping back down towards your spine. And then as you breathe in, there's this soft swelling, this expansion. And then continuing to breathe in this way, breathing out, breathing into your belly, breathing into your hands. And now let's move our breath a little bit higher in the body, move our awareness higher. So either becoming more aware of your lower ribs, so just below the breasts, or maybe bringing your hands there. So your fingertips now are going to part. Your elbows, if they're on the ground, will come wider. So the heels of your hands pretty much line up with the side seams of your t-shirt or your top. And again, let your shoulders adjust so they don't feel squished or lifted. And now start to bring this part of your body to life with your breath. As you breathe out, there's this kind of releasing, this dropping back together. And then as you breathe in, again, there's this swelling, which might be more obvious as your ribs move outwards and slightly apart from each other. And if it's possible, I really invite you to breathe into the heels of your hands, or if you're just using your awareness, breathe into those side seams of your t-shirt or top. So your breath, your lungs are moving outwards as well as upwards towards the ceiling. And then seeing if you can breathe in a way that is unrushed. And you're not consciously stretching or pulling your breath, but you're just allowing the space in your body for your breath to occupy, which might in turn mean that your breath becomes just a little bit slower, more spacious. Great. And then we're going to move our awareness or our hands higher still. So place your left hand over your heart, and now your elbow and upper arm might need to tuck in so it's supported by the ground. And then your right hand, it's probably not going to meet over the top, but maybe the fingertips cross, nestling right hand over right side of the chest. And now breathe here, either with your awareness into the upper part of your chest, just below the collarbones, or into your hands. So this is quite an energizing part of the breath, this upward movement, this pranic movement of our breath. And it's really useful actually in our asana practice to be balanced with the belly breath to ensure that we are rested, we are steady and calm, but we are also awake. We have some energy and life in us. So we won't linger here too long, but just a few more breaths up into the chest, the upper lungs, to the heart space. And then I'd like you to let your arms and your hands rest somewhere where they feel comfortable. So that might be back down by your sides. It might be your hands placed somewhere on your body. Maybe the two together, maybe they're apart. And then let your elbows, your upper arms adjust again. And then I'd like you to feel into these three parts of your body as you breathe. And so your breath now is very fluid. It's moving through your torso, almost like a wave. And instinctively, a pattern might appear of where your breath moves first, second, and third. Possibly as you breathe out, your belly drops, then your ribs and your chest, and then as you breathe in, chest, ribs, belly lift. Maybe a different order. There's no right, no wrong, but just have a little play with your breath here. This full yogic breath. Your breath not only moving up towards the ceiling, but out to the sides and also a little backwards down into the ground. Great, and then we'll release from that breath practice. Let your arms come down to your sides if they're not there. And just take a moment to your breath, for your breath to resettle, to find its new pattern in this movement, this new way of breathing. And now I would like you to start moving your body. So we're going to stay lying on our back, so it would be great if you stay in that orientation, but just start to listen and respond to your body. And depending on how long you've been awake for, this might be kind of your first bit of movement. You might have been up for a few hours and maybe you've already moved your body. So just move in a way that feels good. Sometimes a stretch through the arms and the legs feels good. Sometimes squeezing the legs into the body. Maybe a little rub of the face like you're washing it. Maybe anything else. Alright, and then we'll meet back in this position where we started, only this time we will bring our feet in so they feel like they are in front of our bottom cheeks, in front of our sit bones. So when you glance down at your thighs, they should look pretty much parallel. And then walk your feet in a little bit closer, so as close as they can towards your bottom, and let your arms come out to the side. So if you don't have too much space around you, bend your elbows and let your hands rest up behind you. But if you can outstretch your arms wide, then take that position. Right, and then from here we're just going to start to rock the pelvis. So it's a tiny movement, which if you looked at my screen, maybe if I pulled my t-shirt up a little bit so you can just see my vest, you might see that movement. But we're going to move with the breath, so as you breathe out, let your lower back flatten down towards the ground and your pubic bones at the front of your pelvis lift slightly. And then as you breathe in, allow your belly to swell and to lift, the lower back lifts, and now your sit bones press down towards the ground. Yeah, taking this movement a few more times, breathing out, flattening the lower back, little lift of the pubic bones. And then breathing in, letting your belly swell, letting the lower back lift and arch. And you might notice that your head and your arms are starting to nod here. Keep moving and breathing. If this feels uncomfortable with the blanket under your head, just slide it out so your head's flat on the ground. And this is a really lovely gentle movement just to start to kind of move the pelvis, to invite a little bit of fluidity into it, but also to bring a really gentle ripple through your whole spine. Alright, a couple more like that, moving with your breath. Nice small rhythmic movement, nothing big or strong. And then for the last few, you've got the option to just inhale the same, let your belly swell, your lower back lift. But now as you exhale, you can invite your belly button to draw down towards your spine. So just a little bit of a kind of awakening into your abdominal muscles. Inhale, there's a softening. Exhale, there's this slight drawing back, this slight contraction through the abdomen. But then it's all released on the inhale. Great, once more like this. Right, and then bringing your pelvis, your lower back, into a place where it's somewhere in the middle. Right, and now I'd like you to just wriggle your feet out so you feel the edges of your mats. Let your arms just stay where they are. And then let your knees come all the way over to one side. It doesn't matter which way. Let's not get confused with left or right. So knees drop over. And then I'd like you to really flex your ankles. So that's pulling the top of your feet towards your shins. And then press into the edges of the feet that are in the ground. And kind of let your back arch slightly. Great, and then let's come back through center. So draw up your pelvis back down to the ground. Lift your knees, your legs through center and take them over to the other side. And when you come into that spinal twist, you're really flexing your ankles. So you're doing this movement. So if you can see my hands, my wrists, top of the feet towards the shins, pressing into the edges of the feet that touch the ground. And then almost trying to kind of elevate the back of the body. So a little spinal arch, letting the head and the arms remain heavy. And then let's just move in our own time from side to side, windscreen wipering the legs. Adjusting your feet if they slide around so they stay nice and close but wide. Close to you but wide from each other. A really nice open twist here. Again, bringing a little bit of fluidity into the spine without too much effort. Great, one more each way. No rush, take your time. And then let your legs come back up through centre, wriggling the feet back in so they're a little bit closer together. And then I'd like you to bring your knees in towards your chest. So if you need a nice, easy, gentle option, bring one leg in and then the other. So it's nice and low impact on the abdominal muscles. And then hands maybe to your knees, maybe to the back of the thighs, wherever's comfortable. And then start to circle your legs around as if they were one. So you can bring the legs nice and close together, and just some nice slow, smooth, circular movements. Bringing a little bit of massage, a bit of pressure around the back of the pelvis and around the SI joints. Let your head remain heavy. Let the shoulders stay soft. It can be really tempting to kind of lift and hunch the shoulders, but just let them settle down. Let the legs move in a way and to a size, shape, just feels good for the back of the pelvis. Great, and then you can kind of get a little bit more fluid here. Maybe you'd like to take the legs a bit further apart, maybe holding onto the top of the shins and having a little rock side to side now. Still keeping the head heavy. And just using these lovely gentle movements as a form of self-massage, as it's going to be a while until we any of us can treat ourselves to a massage. So we need to learn these methods to keep our body happy and functioning well. Great, and then from here, let your legs come back closer together, and then I'd like you to roll over to one side. It doesn't matter which way. You might want to wriggle so you're back on your mat, and just curl yourself up into a fetal position. So maybe you'd like to just fold up your blanket higher or bring a pillow in to tuck under the head, but really draw the knees in, tuck the chin in, close the eyes, and take a few breaths here. This lovely curve through the spine, creating a bit of space all the way from the lower back to the top of the head. And maybe connecting with your breath here, the lower half of your torso that's touching the ground. You might be able to feel your breath here, that little bit of pressure as the ground beneath you restricts the movement. Great, and then you're going to extend your top leg away. So let it reach all the way down the top of your mat. Bring your hands to the ground, and then you can lift yourself all the way up to sitting. Great, so from here, you're going to crawl your way around onto all fours. So bringing your toes to the back of your mat. And you've got blankets and things hopefully with you, so you could always take them under your knees if they feel a little bit tender. Maybe you're on a hard wooden surface. And so toes at the back of the mat. Your wrists a little bit forwards of the shoulders to start with. And finding a comfortable place for your hands. So it can feel nice just to pad through the hands a few times, just to really feel connected and also find your alignment and placement for them. So there's no one way fits all. So for some people, fingertips turned out a little feels good, maybe hands further forwards. Good. And then we're going to start to come into some nice slow cow and cat movements. So let your elbows bend slightly. And then with your exhale, press your hands forwards and together, drop your head down and draw your belly up towards your spine. And then have a little bit of a wriggle through the shoulder blades and keep breathing here. So we're not holding onto the breath and stressing the body. And then with your next inhale, start to pull your hands back towards your knees, spread them apart, move your chest forward, and then allow your sit bones to lift and have a little bit of a wiggle here. So your gaze is straight forwards, so we're not creasing or crunching the back of the neck. Keep breathing. And then let's continue to move between these two places. So as you exhale, hands press forward and together, head drops, belly lifts in, little wriggle through the ribs. And then as you inhale, hands drag back and out, chest moves forward, maybe a slightly deeper bend in the elbows so you can really open up through the chest and the heart. And then just continue to move in your own time. Maybe one breath, one movement, maybe a slower pattern. So long as you're breathing in a way that feels good, so long as you're moving in a way that feels good, then you're doing really well. And maybe when you come into these exhales, maybe the hands want to pad back a little bit so you can really get between the shoulder blades. And then maybe the hands pad back as you come into your inhale, your cow. Good, couple more, moving your spine. Alright, and then let's come back and find a middle position. And now, just for a few moments, I'd like you to move your spine intuitively. So if you're not sure what that means or what your body's asking for, then you might want to start by circling your rib cage around and letting your neck and your head follow. But I'd really encourage you to listen to your body, to its needs, to your spine in particular, and just have a few moments of freestyling. You're in the comfort of your own home, no eyes on you, so make the most of it. Maybe invite in a louder breath just for a few rounds, a few sighs out, maybe a few hums. Yeah, just moving your body, breathing your body. Right. And then let's come back into this all fours position. So I'd like you to pick up your left hand, turn the palm up towards you, and then you're going to start to sweep the back of the hand down along the mat towards your feet behind you, and then let it reach all the way back behind. You're pressing into the shins to lift up. Maybe the head follows as you circle that arm round, reaching forwards. Again, back of the hand comes to the ground, sweeping down all the way back. Press into the shins and the toes as you lift up and around. Great, 3 more like that. Sweeping the arm down and back. And if the shoulder doesn't like this movement, just bring your fingertips onto the shoulder so it's a little bit of a smaller circle. Great, 2 more. And you might find a way of moving and breathing together. I'm not going to prescribe one so long as you're doing both. Right, and then the next time you lift up, pause here, just in this open twist. Just for a moment, opening up the heart and the chest. Right, and then you're going to thread that arm all the way underneath the other one. Dropping your shoulder down, dropping the kind of the top corner of your head to the ground, lifting up your ear. And then your right arm is going to kind of readjust, maybe move forwards a little bit. So if this feels a bit heady, if your head's starting to pulse or maybe you've got a headache, just shift your hips back, take them a little bit wider and come into a child's pose. So your head and your heart are at more of a similar level, so less pressure on the head. Great, and then have a little wriggle around here. It can feel nice to kind of shift the hips side to side. Keep your left ear lifted off of the ground so that your neck is happy. You're not kind of overstretching the left side of the neck and inviting in any crunching or discomfort. Right, couple more moments here. Right, and then if your right arm walked out, bring it in a little bit closer towards your face. Start to press down through that hand and lift and unravel. Coming back to all fours. Maybe that arm wants to lift and kind of shimmy round. Maybe you want to come straight back. Great. And then from here, we're going to pick up our right leg. You might want to slide the foot along the ground. You might want to lift it up and step right foot outside of right hand. And so if the ground feels far away, and if you're in your regular class, you would use some blocks, you might want to bring in your blanket or your cushion and just fold it in half so you've got a little extra height here. Good, and so we're in a nice boxy shape, lots of right angles at the ankle, the knee and the hip. I'm just going to start to circle the pelvis around. So it doesn't have to be perfect circles, but circular movements with your pelvis. And your front foot doesn't have to stay glued to the floor. The toes, the arch of the foot could lift. You could change the angle of the foot as you circle around. We're not really going for a stretch here. You're not trying to stretch your hips or stretch your bottom or your hamstrings. You're just trying to explore what movement your body is enjoying and encourage a little bit of fluidity into the area and to the joints of the pelvis. So no deep stretch. And if you are very mobile and you're very tempted to go big, then I invite you to make the movement really small. Close your eyes. And then see how smooth you can make the movement. So there's no catching. When you move around the hips, often you can kind of get a little catching sensation at the origin of the hamstrings. Right, and then let's come and find a middle place. So, be a little bit different for all of us, but where your pelvis feels steady and your front toes are pointing forward. And then bring your right elbow onto the thigh and press yourself up into a lifted low lunge. And you might want to adjust, you might want to bring the legs a little bit closer together, but we're staying with these right angles so we're nice and steady. And then let your arms come up overhead, palms facing each other. And we'll take a few shrugs with the shoulders. So with your breath in, let the shoulders shrug up to the ears, really uncomfortable. And then breathe out, let the shoulders shrug down. Twice more, breathing in, letting your neck disappear. Once more. Good. And then we're going to get nice and steady through the legs. So keep your arms lifted, but I'd like you to imagine that your two legs are moving in towards each other. So your front foot's dragging in and your back knee's dragging in. And you should feel a little lift and a lightness come through the pelvis, maybe the pelvic floor and back wall. And we're going to start to twist the body. So we might want to move with our breath. So you might want to take an inhale here. And then as you exhale and empty the lungs, turn towards that front leg. Keep the arms lifted, so you're not going to turn very far. Great, and then inhale back through center. And then exhale, turning the other way. All right, inhaling back through center. And then exhaling, twisting around. Great, inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling through center. Exhaling, coming into this closed twist and letting your arms now open. So try not to pull with your arms, but let them float down. Good. And you might want to stay here with the arms opening up. If you're feeling like you want to move just a little bit in a more strong way, then you could challenge your balance, tuck the back toes underneath, press into the front foot and start to lift that back knee off of the ground and have a little bit of a movement here, a little bounce. So you're not trying to straighten the leg and kind of push the belly forwards. You're staying nice and contained here, pressing into the front foot, particularly the big toe. Great. And what's going to help here is if you feel like your two sit bones are squeezing towards each other. Breathing. Great. And then wherever you are, knee up, knee down, we're going to unfold, unravel back around through center. You can change where your legs are. If you're getting tired, put the knee down. If you're building some strength, lift the knee up. Keep the back knee bent. Keep your two sit bones squeezing towards each other. But now start to lift through the little fingertips. Let the shoulders drop down. Let the gaze lift. So we're coming into a very soft kind of chest lift, upper back lengthener rather than a bend. Breathing here. Maybe now drawing the thumbs back a little bit more. Your arms can come wide, they can bend if the shoulders feel a little bit tight and they're complaining. Breathing. Great, let's take a lovely full energizing breath in here. And then as you breathe out, release your arms down to the ground. Great, wriggle your right foot back out if it's moved around. And then we'll release that leg, coming back to all fours. Great, you might just want to take a few moments to kind of wriggle, to recalibrate. That's great, that's just a sign that you're listening and responding to your body and to its needs. Okay, and then we'll start to move on the other side. So your right hand is going to turn up, so palm towards the face. Start to drag the back of that hand down along the ground, back behind you. And then pressing into your shins and your toenails, lifting up, circling around, maybe following the gaze. Again, back at the hand drop, so you're broadening through the upper back. Dragging the hand back, pressing into shins and toenails, lifting up. Great, 3 more like that. Remembering you could always bring your fingertips to your shoulder and take a smaller circle if that feels better for your shoulder. One more. Alright, and then let's lift our arm up or the elbow. Just see if you can find a little bit of kind of opening here. So twisting from the waist, opening the chest, maybe looking up, and then threading that arm underneath, letting your shoulder move down. So I'm just going to turn around so you can hear me properly and see me properly. But dropping your right shoulder down and kind of the top right corner of your head. It's quite a hard place to describe, but a good kind of feeling is that your right ear is lifting up away from the ground, and that should maintain length in your neck. Right, and then readjust your left hand so you don't feel like it's in the way, and then maybe have a little wiggle through your hips, side to side. Breathing here. And just remembering that if you feel a lot of pressure in your head or if you have a headache, then just let your hips sink back, let your knees come wider, coming into a twisted child's pose. It's a really nice option. Right, and then your left hand, the one outstretched, is going to come in a little bit closer towards your face. Press down through the hand. And then start to lift and unravel, and maybe that arm just drifts up and opens out, but it doesn't have to. And then coming back into an all fours position. Right. And then from here we're going to bring the left leg forward. So you might want to slide the foot along the ground, you might want to pick it up and step it outside of that left hand. Great, maybe coming onto fingertips, maybe bringing in kind of a folded blanket or a folded pillow for a little extra height. And then starting to make circular movements with your pelvis. Letting your left foot respond, so the toes and most of the sole of the foot, but not the heel, could lift up. And you might want to change the angle of that foot as you explore how your pelvis, how your hips would like to move. So it's not how far can they move or how big can the movement be. It's more personal, it's less challenging. It's more, what would they enjoy right now? And that might be a small repeated movement. Maybe you find a little micro movement and your hips like, okay, this might not be 100% comfortable, but it feels like what I need. I'm really actually enjoying this movement, so just take it a few more times. It's a nice intuitive movement. Right, and then coming into a place that is more still. So front toes pointing forwards now, and then left elbow coming up to the thigh, lifting yourself up into this lifted low lunge. So you might want to adjust that front foot so you feel steadier, but going for nice right angles at the ankle, the knee and the hips. And then arms are going to come up overhead, palms facing each other. Right, and just finding your steadiness here. So keep your arms lifted. I'll just remind you of those actions. So your front foot is dragging in and your back shin is dragging in as well. So you should feel a little lift through the pelvis. And then stabilise that further by feeling like your two sit bones, so those bony parts at the bottom of your bottom, are drawing towards each other. Great, and then we can start to move here. So let's take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, turn towards your front leg, so a little twist. Right, inhaling back around. And then exhaling towards the right. Inhaling through centre. Exhaling, little twist, arms staying lifted. Inhaling through centre. Exhaling around. Good, inhaling through centre. Exhaling, this timing, pausing. And you might notice, you might think, oh actually, I'm not twisting very far. That's absolutely fine. In fact, that means that you're kind of staying in a more restricted, more functional range of movement. So keep your spine where it is without any desire to twist it further, but let your arms soften down. Maybe a little bend in the elbows could feel nice. If you feel like you're needing a little more strength, then you could tuck the back toes. You're going to challenge your balance, so you really need to press into the front foot, squeeze the sit bones together as you lift yourself up, still keeping the back knee bent. As you can see, this keeps some length in the lower back. If we straighten it, often the belly pops forward and we crunch the lower back. Good, and maybe have a little bit of a bounce here. So just checking that your joints in your legs are working, that they're moving, that they're fluid. Also creating a bit of warmth in the thighs. Still breathing. Any way that feels good. It can be loud, it can be messy. Great. And then wherever the legs are, let's start to untwist the upper body. Lift the arms back up overhead again. If you're starting to tire, drop the back knee down. If you feel a bit more energized, lift it up, but keep the back knee a little bit bent at least. And then start to lift the little fingertips, lift the gaze, lift the chest, soften the shoulders. Arms can come wider, they can bend if needed. Right, and then maybe start to draw the thumbs back a little bit further, so you're opening through the front line of the body, through the front line of the arms. Breathing here. Great, and then tipping the body back up straight. Let's take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, releasing your arms down. Maybe readjusting so your left arm is inside of left leg. Right, and then freeing that leg around, coming back to all fours. And then just taking that intuitive wiggle, not stopping it. Your body will probably know what it wants to do, so go with. Right, and then it's your choice really. We're going to come into more of a symmetrical posture. So that could be child's pose. That could be letting the feet come flat, taking the knees a little bit wider and resting your head onto your hands. Or if you're feeling like that strength is coming for you, you could walk your hands forwards of the shoulders, start to tuck your toes, and just kind of rock back onto the feet a few times. Just pressing into the pads of the fingers, opening out through the lower back, through the soles of the feet, and then starting to lift the knees off of the ground, dropping the head, and starting to come in towards a downward facing dog. But stay nice and fluid here. You might want to pad through the feet one at a time. Maybe letting your hips shift around as you do so. So no need to come into a very static, very still posture. Let your downward facing dog be alive. Let it move. Let it breathe. And if you're choosing to come into child's pose, I'd like you to come up to all fours now. And then we're all going to start to walk our hands back towards our feet. So you end up at the back of your mat, walking your hands back. If you're on all fours, your knees will lift and we'll all meet in a soft fold. So knees bent. You might want to take your feet a little bit wider and then allow your spine, your neck, your head to dangle down. Your arms release. Maybe back of the hands drifting down. Maybe holding opposite elbow with your hands just for a little extra traction. And then just letting your spine be really kind of heavy so you really make the most of that traction, that lengthening, that spaciousness. Okay, and then if you're holding your elbows, release your arms down. Let's all bend our knees a little bit deeper. Start to drop your bottom down so we can slowly start to roll up through the spine. Rolling up. No rush, letting your arms continue to dangle, your head is following. So eventually, it is the last thing to lift up. Great, and then you stay where you are. I'm going to take a few shoulder circles, but using the whole body. So let your knees bend, drop your shoulders forward, so you're in a bit of a hunchback. And then start to press into the feet as your shoulders lift up, back, and down, bending the knee. So a few more like that. So full body shoulder circles. Maybe the breath comes. Maybe you find a way of breathing and moving. And the arms can get involved as well. So maybe back of the hands come together. Elbows lift, chest lifts. Great, lovely fluid movement through the body, this wave rippling through. Couple more. Good, one more. Great, and then coming and finding your Tadasana for a few moments. So a really nice alignment is having your feet underneath your hips or heels under the hips. And your arms coming down by the side, palms facing forwards. And then have a little roll through the feet. So you might want to start by rocking forwards and back from the toes to the heels. And then a little kind of a roll, circle around, maybe side to side on the feet. Just so you know that they're there, and so you know how much support you have underneath and around you. And then find a centered place where your feet are really connected to the ground. And then maybe lower your gaze, possibly to the end of your mat, or maybe close your eyes. And let's breathe here in this steady, standing posture. And balancing that steadiness, there's also a softness. We need that softness so our breath can move freely and so that we can respond to those little wobbles, those little wriggles, so that we can come back to our center and re-find our balance. Really nice. Let's release our arms down. So from here, you're going to turn onto the long side of your mat, just how I am, and take your feet out a little bit wider. So I'm not going to give you dimensions because I'm not sure how long your legs are, how tall you are. So an appropriate length where your toes can turn out a little way and your legs make a nice kind of triangle shape. And we can play with how far they are when we start to move. And then I'd like you to start to soften the knees, and you can have a look and just notice if your knees are coming like this, kind of really far forward of your ankles like a frog. Take your feet a little bit wider. So you don't really want the knees moving forwards definitely not forwards of the toes, because that's just going to strain the knees a little bit and it shifts the line of energy. Just have a little rock here side to side, lifting up one set of toes and then the other. And let the pelvis be a bit fluid here as well. Great, and then come and find somewhere in the middle, and maybe let your torso lean back. So imagine that there's a wall behind you and just nestle back into it. Great, lace your fingers together and then press your palms towards me, bend the knees a little bit deeper. Great, and then start to lift the arms up, palms point towards the ceiling, maybe the gaze lifts as well. Great, and then let the pelvis move down and feel your two sit bones get a little bit closer. Great, and then we're going to start to move our torso over towards the left side. Over towards the left. Great, pressing into the palms, bending the knees a little bit, and then bring the torso back through center and then take it over the other way. Maybe move with our breath. Inhaling through center. Exhaling to the side, maybe drawing belly button towards spine. Great, inhaling through center. Exhaling to the right side. Great, inhaling through center. Hopefully your legs feel nice and warm. Exhaling over. This time pausing with the upper body, straightening your legs and then turning in towards Trikonasana. So right toes turning, left toes, turning out, right toes in. And maybe staying here, finding this lovely line of energy through the palms to the right heel, or maybe opening your arms. Maybe this left hand comes to the thigh, maybe towards the shin. If the top shoulder's not very comfortable, you could always bring that hand to the hip. Great, and breathing here. This is the strongest part of our gentle practice. It's really nice in the morning just to come up to standing, to find that strength in our legs and energize a little bit. So don't worry, we're not going crazy. Breathing. And then let's release the arms, let them extend back up overhead. Maybe they're wide, maybe they lace together, and then bend the knees and kind of tip yourself back around, letting the heels shift in again. Great, let's straighten the legs, release the hands forwards, and then change the cross of the fingers, so the more awkward way. All right, and then let's bend the knees a little bit, drop the pelvis down, lean the upper body back, Press palms towards me, lifting them up. Great, taking a breath in here, exhaling towards the right. Inhaling, exhaling the other way. Right, inhaling, if this is getting too much with the legs, straighten them in between, and then exhaling, bending them. Maybe inhale, straighten, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, this time pausing, finding length through both sides of the body. Great, and then kind of straighten the legs. Turn your heels to the side. So now your right toes are forward, your left heel is back slightly, coming into Trikonasana. Maybe the arms stay here, maybe they open out. Maybe right hand touches the thigh, maybe the shin, maybe your top hand comes to the hip. So lots of options to make it useful for you. So it's the kind of the most appropriate, the best posture it can be. All I would say is try not to hang into the knee joint and push into the kneecap. It's just not useful for the back of the knee. If anything, keep the knee a little bit bent. Great, breathing here. Steady feet, strong legs. Alright, and then let's bring the arms back up overhead again, maybe lacing the fingers together the weird feeling way, and then bend the knees, drop the pelvis, wriggle the feet back around through center. Great, and then here we're going to take 3 lion or lioness, your choice, breaths. So you can just look at me for the first one if you're not sure what that is, but release the fingertips, and we'll start now by breathing in. Great, breathing in, arms sweep forwards and up. One more. Great, bring your hands to center. And then let's straighten the legs, bring the toes in and continue to heel toe the legs in. And then release the arms and give your whole body a shake. Shake the hips, shake the legs, shake the feet, shake the bottom, the shoulders, everything. Okay. Keep shaking and dancing if you want, but if not, come to the back of your mat, feet underneath your hips. Let your arms come up overhead. Good, you might want to take a breath in here. As you breathe out, soften through the knees, through the body, the spine, folding forward. And then lift up your head, start to walk your hands forwards, crawling into an all fours position. Okay, so from here we're going to find a comfortable child's pose. So hopefully you've got some pillows, some blankets around. So you might just want to fold forwards, maybe hands underneath the head, maybe arms back behind you. You might enjoy a little more support. So if you have a pillow from your bed, you can fold it. It's a bit tricky, but fold it in half lengthways, and this is almost like a kind of a half bolster that you could rest your body down onto. Maybe you recruit in a pillow as well for a bit more height under the head and the chest. So use any pillows, cushions, blankets around you to get comfortable. If you feel like you need a little height under your sit bones, if the knees feel tight, your bottom's lifted, then you could always place a cushion or a pillow there as well, just to bring a bit more ease. So lots of options. Good. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes here letting your body become more still, more supported. And you might notice that in this more still place you can notice one of the after effects of our moving practice. Maybe noticing your heartbeat, maybe your breath pattern, maybe the temperature of your body or any sensations in your body. But most importantly, I'd like you to breathe well. Breathing out and in a way that just feels good, that you are aware of as well. So we are definitely breathing consciously. And I'd like you now to bring your hands in so they're just in front of your knees. Start to press down through your hands to lift yourself back up into a seated position. So now it is time to get ourselves ready for the practice of rest, for Shavasana. So I'd like you to gather anything that you might need. So it can be really nice to have a blanket maybe underneath your head, or you could take it over you if you're a little bit chilly. It can be nice to have the blanket under your head, or maybe a flat pillow. That would work really well as well, a flat cushion, sorry. And if you do have a pillow off of your bed to hand, this can act as a really great bolster for underneath your knees. So all you'll be doing is placing it across your mat upright and then squishing it down, and then when you come to lie, your legs will kind of flow over it as if it were a bolster in the studio. So there's just that easiness coming into the lower back so your legs aren't dead straight. So taking any socks, jumper, blankets, eye pillow if you have one, maybe lowering the lights, although it is a lovely beautiful day, isn't it? Maybe we don't want to do that. And just reminding you as well, for those of you I've practiced with before, I really like people to know that this classical lying on our back position isn't the only option for Shavasana. So if you come down to lying and it either isn't physically comfortable or kind of just more an energetic, emotional level, just doesn't feel right, then you can always lie on your side like you're in bed. To do that, take a pillow or two underneath your head so your neck's in a nice neutral alignment. Bend your knees in, maybe take a pillow or a cushion between them, or you could cuddle a pillow or a cushion as well. So a conscious side lying position where still our spine is in a relatively neutral position. Okay, so hopefully we are all settled and comfortable. And just to remind ourselves what the difference is between effort and non-effort, we're going to bring great contraction into parts of our body to encourage it to release. So I'd like you to start with your right arm. So your whole right arm, tense it, contract it, make a fist, tuck the elbow into the body like you're pulling the arm in, really strong, tense the biceps, take a breath in, and then release as you breathe out. Right, let's do the same with the left arm. So really tensing and contracting it, making a fist with the hand, pulling the elbow in, contracting the biceps so that arm is squeezing in tight, really, really tense, breathing in, and releasing. Right, same with the right leg, a little bit trickier, but maybe flex the ankle, press into the sole of the foot, engage the quadricep muscles, engage the bottom muscles, taking a breath in, and releasing. Good, now the left leg. Really making it awake and strong. Maybe it hovers off of the ground as you push into the sole of the foot. Engage the quadricep muscles of your thigh, your bottom. Strong lifted leg. Taking a breath in. Great. Now it's time for the face. Make your face all tightened and squidged up like a really wrinkly raisin or prune, pursing the lips, scrunching the eyes up, tensing the jaw like you're clenching something precious between your teeth. Take an awkward, uncomfortable breath in here. And then let everything soften as you breathe out. And then if you need to make any little adjustments or fidgets, take them now. But for the next few minutes, I'd like you to know that there is absolutely nothing you need to do. You've all practiced well, you've showed up, you've moved your body, you've breathed well. Now it's time to rest. So let your body be fully supported. Let your breath flow freely. Settle into the stillness, into the quiet, and rest. Let your body stay still and supported just a little while longer. Start to become more aware of where you are, listening to the sounds around you and feeling the support beneath and around you as well. And then start to breathe more consciously, letting your breath come to life again and letting your breath bring a bit of movement to your body. So maybe taking a few sighs out through the mouth. And then let your body start to move, start to reawaken. The movements might be small to start with, maybe in your hands, your feet, your face, but let them grow. Let the movement wake you up. And maybe taking a nice full stretch through the body from fingertips to toe tips could feel good. Reaching through the arms if you have space. And then let your knees come in towards you, one at a time if needed. And then roll over onto one side. And again, tap the head in, tap the knees in. Just taking a couple of moments here, not being in a rush to get up or to close. And then bring your hands down to the ground. Let your top leg extend out so you can crawl your way up and come and find a comfortable seated position. So you're in the comfort of your own home. You might want to come and sit and lean against a wall or your bed or sofa. You might want to kneel or sit cross-legged with some support. And then find a steadiness through your body again. Maybe lowering your gaze or closing your eyes, and then feeling that there's this leaning back sensation through the back of the body, so we become more centered. Balancing that leaning back with a real softness in the belly as you breathe out and in. And then bring your left hand over your heart. Let your shoulder and elbow soften down. Place your right hand on top, letting that elbow and shoulder soften as well. And then keeping your belly soft, take a few breaths up into your heart, into your hands. Using this more lifted breath to really check that we are awake and here. Hopefully a little bit energized and rested. And then maybe keep your hands here if they feel at home, or if not, bring your hands into Anjali Mudra. Letting the touch between the pads of your fingers and the heels of your hands be quite firm. So there's this real sense of, here I am. Left and right hand joined together. And then take a breath in here, just as you are. And then as you breathe out, bow your head down towards your heart, towards your body, towards your whole self. Namaste. Great, so thank you everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. Hope wherever you are that you are well as you can be, and that somehow you can get a little bit of vitamin D on your skin, whether that's through a window or in your garden. Okay, take care, and I hope to practice with you again soon. Bye bye.